Thank you very much. I am Lamin Jai, and this is News Review. Coming up today, staff of GT Bank today began a sweeping strike, which saw the first deputy governor of the Central Bank of the Gambia, Dr. Sekou Jabi, dash to the bank's head office on Kerba Avenue to find out what is really going on there. The Gambia Bar Association tackles President Adama Barrow over his sustained state of emergency declarations. I will later be joined by Ahmad Jite from Canada. These and more, stay tuned, but first we will do a review of the newspapers. And I'll begin with the point today. Let's see what they are saying on their paper today. Lead story saying Europe defends Gambian ICC prosecutor over US sanctions. Government institutions owe Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation more than $1.6 billion. The finance minister reveals 50,000 rural dwellers to benefit from solar-powered water supply. Also, Fisheries Minister rubbishes illegal fishing claims there. Gambia confirms 2 new COVID-19 cases. On the point today, several European countries have publicly defended the work of the International Criminal Court, ICC, and are demanding the immediate and unconditional withdrawal of sanctions and other threats against its employees without further delay. Recently, Fatou Bensouda, the Gambian-born prosecutor, and her team came under intense pressure following the court's decision to investigate alleged war crimes in both Palestine and Afghanistan, respectively. Chile Ebo Osojui, president of the court, who was also a legal advisor to the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, had insisted and maintained that Afghanistan investigation was crucial and important in terms of raison d'etre of the ICC. As a result, several attempts to terminate the investigations failed, and President Trump and his administration became exasperated, thus resulting to the sanctions. But lately, the point has gathered that countries such as the UK, France, Germany, and the Netherlands have emphasized the importance of the court and renewed their support and protection. Government institutions owe Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation more than $1.6 billion. His finance minister reveals the Gambia government and 6 of its parastatals owe the Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation more than $1.6 million. His Finance and Economic Affairs Minister Mamburin Jai revealed on Wednesday at the National Assembly. 50,000 rural dwellers to benefit from solar-powered water supply. James F. Gomez, Minister of Fisheries, Water Resources and National Assembly Matters, while answering questions in a recent face-off in Parliament, disclosed that it has been estimated that 50,000 rural population will benefit directly from the 20 solar-powered water supply systems. He disclosed that the project came through the Department of Water Resources under his ministry and secured from the government of Japan through the Japan International Cooperation Agency. Also, the Fisheries Minister is also rubbishing illegal fishing claims. Fisheries, Water Resources and National Assembly Matters Minister James F. Gomez has debunked claims that certain fishing vessels entered the creeks of the Gambia and were engaged in indiscriminate fishing there. Yes, let's see what the Standard is saying. They are saying that UDP accuses IEC of dithering on Sonko's sacking there. COVID-19 response team threatens strike over unpaid allowances. Dawa urges Gambians to stop insulting Barrow's parents. GDC expels 2 councillors who shift allegiance to Barrow. President-elect Barrow's guards bought cutlasses to defend themselves against Jame. The spokesperson of the United Democratic Party has accused the Independent Electoral Commission of trying to run down the clock in taking a decision on Sirifo Sonko's dismissal. What is going on is very clear. The IEC is trying to run the clock down. If the law is very clear, why is the IEC not obeying the law? What is their justification for that? Almami Tal told the Standard yesterday. COVID-19 response team threatens strike over unpaid allowances. The COVID-19 frontline health workers are threatening to go on a sit-down strike today under the Ministry of Health, or unless the Minister of Health addresses their demands. The workers comprise staff in the COVID-19 rapid response team, contact tracing, laboratory services, and the quarantine centers. The Gambia government has allocated $500 million to the fight against COVID-19. We demand the senior management of the Ministry of Health to consider our plight, or else we will have no option but to embark on a sit-down strike. We demand daily allowances of $750 to be paid to us dating from January 2020. That's according to the CFO Singate, one representing the workers there, told journalists at a press conference on Wednesday. Darboe urges Gambians to stop insulting Barrow's parents. The leader of the United Democratic Party has urged his supporters, or party supporters and Gambians in general, to avoid insulting President Barrow's parents just because of politics. Also on the Standard, they are reporting that GDC expels two councillors who shift allegiance to Barrow. The opposition Gambia Democratic Congress has announced its decision to expel two councillors from the party. The expelled councillors, according to a statement seen by the Standard, are Alhaji Sow of Jabang Ward and Omar Balde of Sare Sofi Ward. The two councillors are said to have defected to President Adama Barrow's newly formed NPP. Two new COVID-19 cases registered. The Gambia continues to register more COVID-19 cases as two new ones took the country's total to 63. One of the cases is a Gambian 60 who evaded quarantine following or after returning from Senegal only to surface at Essau District Hospital a couple of weeks ago or later with symptoms similar to those of COVID-19. He has since been admitted at the said hospital. The second case is a Norwegian 60 who arrived in the country by an SN Brussels flight on 3rd July. Yes, pretty much. We will leave it at that for the newspapers. We'll take a quick break and we'll be back. Staff of GT Bank so today staged a massive strike that rendered the bank lethargic. The staff had reported to work, but only to refuse to do any work as they stood outside to protest over problems they say they are facing. Fatou Kamara tells us more.
Staff of the bank had written a 48-hour ultimatum to the bank's managing director at the Sena at the Basin, requesting that the official satisfies their demands. The staff claim they have been wrongfully treated since the current MD took over leadership of the bank.
It's unfortunate that we're having such a thing in such a bank, which is known to be very organized, very customer-centered, and we are a good bank.
Central Bank Deputy Governor Dr. Seiku Jabi was at the bank and told reporters the matter would be addressed.
Bank doesn't want, anywhere in the world, bank doesn't want noise. Noise, no. So we're going to address it. It's a simple matter. They agreed to go back to work. By this afternoon, we meet at the Central Bank and address the matter. That's it. It's done. No complaint, no issues. Nobody to worry about, really.
When the Fatou Network approached Adesina for comment, he simply said the issue was an internal issue and he could not talk about it. The staff of the GT Bank are aggrieved about unfair promotions, inadequate staff benefits and dictatorial leadership. Fatou Kamara reporting for the Fatou Network News Review.
Now, President Adama Barrow's state of emergency declaration on Tuesday has been met by criticism as the Gambia Bar Association has issued a statement today saying it is concerned by the way and manner in which the president was declaring or went about declaring the state of emergency there. This is also coming as the National Assembly member for Serekunda, Halifa Sallah, also today called on the National Assembly to summon the vice president over the declarations there by the president. Fatou Kamara tells us more.
The lawyers group said in a statement Tuesday signed by President Salou Tal that it is their view that the declaration of a state of public emergency consecutively by the president on the 19th May 2020, 10th June 2020, 1st July 2020 and 7th July 2020 is in effect a usurpation of powers granted to the National Assembly, and it is a dangerous precedent for our democracy. President Adama Barrow on July 7 declared a fresh state of public emergency throughout the country in a bid to stop the spread of the coronavirus. State House in a statement said the declaration shall last for a period of 7 days with effect from 8 July 2020. But according to the Bar Association, Section 34(6) does not give the President the unfettered power or a carte blanche to declare a state of public emergency consecutively based on the same emergency, thereby circumventing parliamentary scrutiny and oversight, which is an essential check on the exercise of such emergency powers. The right and proper course of action was for the executive to table a motion to extend the state of emergency before the National Assembly. This in line with the spirit and substance of the Constitution, which is the supreme law of this country, the group added. It comes as National Assembly member for Serekunda, Halifa Sallah, made a proposal on Tuesday to follow lawmakers for the Vice President to be summoned over the state of emergency declarations.
Honorable Speaker, my statement, whereas any proclamation published in the Gazette on 18th March 20, whereas by proclamation published in the Gazette on 18 March 2020, the President of the Republic did declare that a situation did exist which, if it is allowed to continue, may lead to a state of public emergency, whereas this declaration was made while the National Assembly was still in session, but lapsed in 7 days because of the absence of a motion for extension by the National Assembly, whereas by proclamation published in the Gazette on the 26th of March 2020, the President of the Republic did declare that a state of public emergency exists in the whole of the Gambia, which was followed by moving a motion for a resolution by the National Assembly to extend the declaration for a period of 90 days, whereby a resolution adopted on the 3rd of April 2020, supported by the votes of not less than 2/3 of all the members of the National Assembly, extension of the state of public emergency was made for a period of 45 days, whereas a motion was moved in the National Assembly before the expiration date for a resolution by the National Assembly to extend the declaration for a period of 90 days, which failed to get the support of the quarters of all the members of the National Assembly, whereas by proclamation published in the Gazette on the 19th of May 2020, the President of the Republic did declare that a state of public emergency exists in the whole of the Gambia, whereas the declaration made on 19th May 2020 was for a period of 21 days since the National Assembly was not in session, whereas by proclamation published in the Gazette on the 9th June 2020, the President of the Republic did declare that a state of public emergency exists in the whole of the Gambia with effect from 10th June 2020, while the National Assembly was not in session, whereas the proclamation was said to be done by relying on Section 34, subsection 6 of the Constitution, whereas the 5th National Assembly commences its second ordinary session in 2020 legislative year on 15th May 2020, whereas the order paper of 30th June 2020 contained a motion for the extension of a state of public emergency for another 45 days and for the further affirmation of the emergency regulation by the National Assembly under Section 5, subsection 2 of the emergency powers effective 1st July 2020, whereas the said motion was later withdrawn without any explanation, whereas the National Assembly is still in session without any motion coming from the Office of the President for an extension of a state of emergency or affirmation of the emergency powers regulation, being convinced that it would amount to a dereliction of duty if the National Assembly failed to summon the Office of the President to explain why the motion for an extension of the state of emergency was withdrawn and a press release issued on the declaration of a state of emergency while the National Assembly is still in session. I humbly move that this august body summons the Vice President to come and answer 3 fundamental questions. Why the motion for an extension of the state of public emergency for a period of 45 days did with effect from Wednesday, 1st July 2020, as per the order paper of 30th June 2020 was withdrawn? Has the state of emergency been declared since the National Assembly commenced session? If so, when was it declared and under what authority? What emergency power regulations are currently in force and under what authority? How the executive computes time to determine the expiry date of each of the declaration of a state of public emergency since 18 March 2020. Answers to this question will provide sufficient evidence for the National Assembly to determine whether the executive is acting in line with the letter and spirit of the Constitution it has taken oath to respect, uphold, and enforce or not.
The lawyers group said in a statement Tuesday signed by President.
TAF Africa Global is proud to launch the Moria Gardens, conveniently located in Bruford, 5 minutes off the Bruford Highway. Moria Gardens is set to comprise of 20 fenced and gated service plots with sizes ranging from 264 to 420 meters square. Unique features include water and electricity infrastructure, solar street lights, all-weather roads and scenic gardens. We offer a 10-year mortgage plan with a 25% equity down payment in partnership with GT Bank, Trust Bank and EcoBank. For more information, please contact 376-23.
So I have today as my guest Ahmed Jite from Canada. We will be discussing the Local Government Act, the proposal there to amend it to grant greater freedom and independence to elected local government officials. They are quite controversial there. A private member's bill sponsored by Lower Badibu National Assembly member Alhaji Jawara. Their NAMS, National Assembly members, have been bitterly split. You have UDP National Assembly members on the one hand that don't want this amendment, and you have almost all the NAMS of all the other political parties supporting Mr. Alhaji Jawara there. I think Ahmed should be on the line now. If he is, yes, we will try to talk to him now. Ahmed Jite, are you there? Are you there, Ahmed? So we'll also talk about the resignation of Mr. Ba or Abubakar Tambedu as the country's Attorney General and Minister of Justice last month there. Ahmad is a commentator, someone who really speaks extensively on issues in the country, based in Canada. Is Ahmad with us now? So I guess we will take a short break and then we will return if we can take a short break there, and we will be right back.
Welcome to the TOK service.
What is TOK?
This is an amazing service from Africell that enable you to choose one Africell number to talk to for a period of 1 month. 30 days for $150 only. To subscribe to the service, send SUB to 135 and follow the instruction.
The TOK service from Africell is accessible, reliable, and affordable, giving you 1,000 minutes to say all you can for 1 month.
For more info, call 111.
Where Africell goes, nobody dares to follow.
Welcome to the TOK service.
What is TOK?
This is an amazing service.
Welcome back. Now we have Ahmad on the line. Nephew Ahmad Jite, thank you for joining me.
You're very welcome. So I have not set up my laptop yet, and my phone has 17%. So if
I think that will do. This will not take long. So I just want us to talk about, you are a close observer of events as they unfold in the Gambia. We have seen last month the resignation of Abubakar Tambedu as the country's Attorney General and Minister of Justice. What did you see? What would be your take on his exit, his walkout?
Well, he's not dropped out. Well, he has resigned, and the reason why he resigned became very clear to every Gambian. I mean, he had or he has a bigger assignment that he feels he would serve humanity better in. So he decided to take that job. As far as I'm concerned, you have 1,000 Gambians that are equally or even more qualified to take up that job. He has left. We have a much younger, an equally very brilliant Gambian who took over the job. And Ba did well, and we thank him for his services, but that's humanity. Before Ba became Minister of Justice, you must have heard about 5 or 6 from 1965 to date. So the world is ever changing. Positions are temporary. People come in, people go out. I'm sure you are not the first editor-in-chief or what would I call it, of Fatu Network. You were working with Standard. There's someone else at Standard you left. So that's natural. And I've had people say a lot of things that, surprised me. But Ba Tambedu, before he resigned, government knew, in fact, Ba's process of, applying to that job and getting offered. This process was all known, and the principal, and that is the president, is aware of it, and they cooperated with him. And whatever Ba needed from the central government, from his boss, President Barrow, helped him and made everything or the process very smooth for him. I'm sure people do not know a lot of things when it comes to some or certain operations in government. But Gambians are very good at speculation. And whenever they are speculating, it depends on which side of the coin that speculative matter is. If it is against or if it's something they don't like, they paint it with a bad and very irresponsible color. Maybe Ba Tambedu did not agree the government is not cooperating with them. And I've had all kinds of wild and unbelievable reasons. But then it became clear that Ba Tambedu backed an international appointment. And by law, you cannot, if government does not assist you, especially with the position that Ba was holding. So for those that knew how governments operate, how organizations operate, will know definitely that Barrow government played a vital role in Ba Tambedu's transition from serving our country as Minister of Justice to the Undersecretary in the office of the Secretary General of the United Nations. So that's my take. Good luck to him. Another Gambian is serving. The country moves on.
So to you, which is bigger here? Because you said that he backed a bigger job. That's what you said. Which is bigger to you, serving country, working for country as Attorney General, Minister of Justice, and landing a job with the United Nations? In your opinion, which is bigger to you?
Well, bigger here is relative term, depending on the individual in question. What is bigger? If I feel that serving the entire world is bigger, or serving my people and getting them out of a dire situation is bigger, then it's a relative word. For me, it's going to be very difficult. But when you ask someone like Gite, a young man, very poor, how much is Ba's salary at Minister of Finance? It's not up to 50,000. Ba is going to get perhaps per month at least $15,000 US. So
but is this about the money? Is this about really about money?
It's which is bigger. You asked me about my opinion, so I'm telling you what bigger is to me. So if you leave $50,000 salary for $15,000, which is almost $1 million salary, it's a bigger position. If you leave a position that serves $2 million to a position that serves 6 billion people. To me, that's bigger. So he is going to serve 6 billion people around, or 7 billion people around the world, as opposed to 2 million people. So it's bigger in terms of responsibility, in terms of, exposure, in terms of interaction, in terms of paperwork and time that you have to put in to your work. He is gone to a bigger position. So it's bigger with the United Nations.
So where would that leave the issue of nationalism and patriotism? Where would that leave that?
Again, I mean, I have told you this. Patriotism is patriotism. We have 5-year term limit for presidents. There are people who are very patriotic, but the country decides that you can only serve for 5 years. If they are patriotic, why not give them 1 million years to serve the country? We don't care about whether you're patriotic or not. We give you 2 5-year terms, and then you must leave. So patriotism, he has served 2 years. I mean, the outcome of his service is what matters, and to some of us he has served very well. We have some observations and we have some reservations about some of the things that happened under him, but I mean he's patriotic for sure, because he left a job with the United Nations, remember, the International Court for Rwanda in Arusha, Tanzania. He was working under the current Chief Justice Hassan Jallow, or working with him. We didn't know if he was working under him, but they were working together to prosecute the perpetrators of the 1994 genocide in Rwanda. So he left a United Nations job. He made a lot of money out there, and he came to Gambia. That is patriotism, because he was making much more salary, much more money there than his position as Justice Minister. And what happened? He had more friends in those days, perhaps, to us, in our eyes than he has made today. When he went to Gambia and became a Justice Minister, what happened? You have, all Yahya Jammeh supporters seeing him as an enemy. In fact, people are saying he should not go to the airport. People say he should be arrested. So he has made so much enemy. So, I mean, of course, he's patriotic for leaving thousands of dollars job in Arusha or with the United Nations to come to the Gambia to serve as Minister of Justice in the most difficult and most chaotic moment of Gambia's history.
So now, there are suggestions that Mr. Tambadou was pushed out by the sustained criticism and sometimes insult. What do you have to say about that? The fact that he got frustrated by the sustained criticism that was being directed at him, sometimes insults.
Well, I mean, I would like to believe that Mr. Tambadou, with all his work experience, internationally, and all his exposure, would be budged by criticisms. Criticisms for what? Even GTEC. They insult my mother and father. Nobody ever gave me a butut. When it comes to Gambia, I have no job there. I never asked for a job. People insulted my parents and all of that. That didn't deter me from expressing and talking about what I believe should be done for Gambia. A poor man like me, I'm not paid and nothing. Why would Tambadou, that is a billionaire perhaps in Gambian terms? He is from a very rich family. He has money. What he has done, he has a lot of international recognitions. He took Rohingya, people's case to International Criminal Court, and he got an award for that. Why would Tambadou be disturbed if GTE, who is a nobody, is not disturbed?
But people are clearly different. People are different when it comes to thick skin. The thickness of your skin might not be the same as that of Tambadou when it comes to criticism, right?
Ba would have resigned much earlier if he had cared about, or if he is light-skinned, about people's criticisms. He would have resigned much earlier. My belief and my opinion is that Tambadou served the country, and he felt he has done his utmost best, and he felt that his services, his expertise is needed somewhere else, and he would have to go. And that is very normal everywhere. I believe Ba is not, it's not about being light skin or thick skin. It's about, nature as well. Times come, times go. So, I mean, his time has come for him to go to the United Nations in New York and Savos, or in The Hague, perhaps in Switzerland.
Away from that, the National Assembly, I mean, that is where all tongues have been set wagging. The attempt there by Honorable Member Alhaji Jawara to amend the Local Government Act. That way, it will accord or afford, if you like, greater freedom and independence to National Assembly members. Local government, elected local government officials there. And it has proved contentious and controversial. You have UDP National Assembly members on one hand versus the other MPs of almost all the parties on the other. What do you make of that? This attempt by Honorable Jawara there to, amend that piece of legislation?
I would believe Honorable Jawara Alaji, who is a junior brother to me. I've known him for the past 20 years. I'm older than him, and we've interacted very extensively. I think Alaji Honorable Jawara Folowa Badib is very generous. This is out of being very generous as a Gambian, and for being a concerned citizen who does not want, problems and chaos and unrest in the country. And of course, Alaji is someone who loves his brother, because you've heard Sidia Jata, Honorable Member for Wulli, mention a very famous hadith from Rasulullah, that La yuminu ahadukum hatta yuhibbal akhihi ma yuhibbu li nafsihi. And that is, none of you would be considered a true believer until you love for those, or for your brothers, what you love for yourself. And there is another hadith that says, lan tadkhulul jannah hatta tu'minu wa lan tu'minu hatta tahabu. You will never enter heaven until you believe, and you will never believe until you love each other. And that translates into what you love for yourself, love for the other.
Even in politics, right?
And all,
even in politics.
Certainly, I'm coming. Alaji Jawara and his colleagues in the National Assembly in early 2000 or mid-2017 unanimously amended some sections of the Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia. Section 62. At the time we needed a vice president, we had a vice president in mind that the commander-in-chief or the principal of the country wanted to work with, and that was former Vice President Fatmata Tambaja. People claim that the age was, above 65. They amended the section, that is Section 62 of the Constitution, that is upper age limit, from 65 to wherever. If you want, you can be 101 years and be in bed and run for presidency. We did that to give right to everybody. In that period, the National Assembly, again, amended a section of the Constitution, and that is Section 91, subsection 1D, 91, 1D. They amended that section. This section gave power to the parties to expel their National Assembly members or elected members in the Assembly, and if they are expelled from the party, they automatically lose their seats at the National Assembly. The Parliament unanimously amended that section to give them that independence. Whether or not your party expels you, you will retain your seat. If Alaji accepted to do that with his colleagues for himself, I think it will only be logically right and responsible for him to end a never-ending, talk and noises and whatever that is happening, especially in West Coast region about Sirifo Sonko. Bring a bill that will in future give everybody that independence and security of position. Pass the bill. You can have an issue with your party. If at all you don't agree, you can move on your own. But again, there's a bigger thing that people are not understanding regarding this. If, let's say, Alhaji and the 8 other members that were expelled lost their seats. Gambia government would have given IEC a lot more money to conduct elections for these MPs. We've just heard that Mama Kande expelled 2 MPs. Again, the IEC would have requested money from the Gambia government to conduct those elections as well. If Sirifo also in Combo or Birikama is also expelled, IEC would have to again ask and request for money to conduct by elections.
But
How many times would we continue
can I interrupt you there? Can I interrupt you? Don't you think that comes with the institution of state, that risk of the state taking out money whenever it's needed? That comes with the institution of state. Nobody can do anything about that. That is there for sure.
We can do a lot about that. And one of the things we can do about it is what Alhaji Jawara just did. Save the state money. Let people keep their positions. Elections or positions are periodic. They come and go. In 2022, we'll go for another local government election. Let's go for election and let the matter be settled. But all the time elections, people are tired. You have lower voter turnout in the Gambia every 5 years. You want to take us to elections every time a leader feels somebody is not, serving the interests of him or his party or her party. We don't have that time for the Gambia. And again, where does that happen in this world? This particular bill or act was put in the constitution and in the act by the President Ajame to demand absolute loyalty, whether or not he was doing the right thing or he was not. He just put this thing in the constitution and in the acts to get absolute loyalty of Gambians to him in parliament. Vote for what I want, pass for what I want, or I will expel you and you will lose your job. We do not want that. No party is, wrong proof. Every party would make mistakes. Every party will be, interested in something that may not be in the interest of the general citizenry. If that happens, the National Assembly members have obligation to make sure that those things do not go anywhere. If parties always want things and some of them are not correct, as a National Assembly member, if I do not do this, my leader will expel me and I will lose my job. That is dangerous. It does not happen anywhere on this planet. This was by Yahya Jammeh and the objective was very specific, absolute loyalty. And we do not want absolute loyalty for anybody.
There is consensus that this is a bad law. Even we've seen those that are balking at this piece of legislation have been admitting that it is a bad law there by the former president. But what is also at play here, the reason why UDP National Assembly members are, opposing this piece of bill has to do with the sincerity of Mr. Alhaji Jawara. This is coming at a time when you have this standoff, this bitter standoff between UDP and Mr. Sirifo Sonko. They want him out. Sirifo Sonko is insisting that he's still the elected chairman of Brikama Area Council. And just all of a sudden, you have Alhaji Jawara sponsor this private members bill. So they find it curious and they think that he's not being sincere in terms of the national interest that he is, using as a yardstick for bringing forward this bill. What do you have to say about that, the sincerity of Mr. Alhaji Jawara? Don't you think, just a second, don't you think this is some form of revenge on the part of Mr. Alhaji Jawara, taking into account his history with UDP?
Well, what kind of revenge? Because Alhaji Jawara left or was expelled from UDP. He continues to serve his constituency. In fact, he is more famous and more respected and much more valued today with Lower Badibu than when he was in UDP. Second, Alaji Jawara has not lost his position or his salary. He continues to receive it. He continues to serve the country. Why would he revenge? In fact, he has a lot more people that he brought to support President Adam Barrow than ever before. But sincerity, there is no amount of sincerity much better than what you love for yourself, you love for the other person. It's Sirifo Songo they are talking about. Mama Kande just expelled 2 people. If this bill is passed, I mean, Mama Kande's people too, the 2 councillors that were expelled, will also be saved. Is that also part of revenge? No, it's not. You know, when you see, when it comes to something good and bad, this is what we need to understand. There is no better time to change a law that is bad. There is no better time than having a bad law changed. If this is, why didn't those that are talking about it being bad brought it yesterday, day before yesterday, 1 week, 3 weeks ago? They knew that these laws are there when they were changing that it for the National Assembly members. They knew that this law was there. Why didn't they change it? Why didn't they bring bills to the parliament to change it before the problem happened between UDP and Sirifo Sonko? If they had not, Alaji brought it, and perhaps Alaji has been working on it for a very long time, even before he was expelled. Perhaps he has that in mind, and it takes time to prepare a private bill and brought it. Perhaps it took Alaji 1 year, 2 years. He's not an experienced National Assembly member. Perhaps it took him since 2017. He has the idea, and he has been developing it from one stage to another, gradually. And he has completed it and brought it to Parliament. Why would you request, or why would you question the sincerity? Is it going to protect Sirifo Songo? If Alaji Jawara or somebody wants to move to UDP, will it say no? Will the bill say no because the individual's intention was for people leaving UDP and going the other direction? If Mama Kande's National Assembly member left Mama Kande's party and joined UDP, will that be a different case if the law actually is amended? No. It's going to protect every Gambian citizen. Even after this National Assembly and these local government officials are gone, is going to protect every other Gambian who is, put in these positions. This is what we need to see. This is what we need to have respected. A good and a common good should be valued and respected for everybody. And it's sad that UDP, MPs, I mean, I've seen them. They said, some even said it was a bad law, but today it's a good law. And it begs the question about the sincerity you're talking about, of how sincere these people are, Uncle Lamin Jai.
Nephew, away from that, I also want us to talk about President Barrow. How is it looking like for him? This is someone that you support, of course. How's it looking like for him politically? We have maybe like 18 months before elections. How is it looking? Because I, go around and see your NPP bosses, being brandished, being driven in town. How is it looking like for him politically?
So for any person who observes, who is, very, careful and pay attention to details, I'll tell you a little bit of a story with the UDP leader. There was an interview he did with your colleague Omar Wali, and said if anybody leaves UDP and think you're prominent, even the saliva, Dagio, Hani Dagio, Gambia kono wole beficiality. That happened. Barrow left, and you knew in history, I've only seen President Adama Barrow who has not officially started a party and has 8 MPs waiting for him to form a party. It has not happened in the Republic of the Gambia, to my knowledge, from 1965. It's only Barrow that was being awaited, like, President Barrow, we are waiting for you. And there are 8 National Assembly members already for you. And many other, Chairman Sonko, I mean, you know.
But who said Chairman Sonko is Barrow? Who said he's Barrow?
I said he is Barrow.
Okay.
I said.
Do you have evidence for this?
Away from that, you know, President Adama Barrow's how is it's looking for him. I mean, people will be in denials, but then when you leave a party, we have, you know, in fact, I'm only talking about the UDP party, the regional mobilizer. I mean, the KMC regional mobilizer for UDP from 1996, Undanyang, to the 2017 election is gone to Barrow. The same for URR, Basamba Drame, Bubu Drame, is with Barrow. And we have prominent people that are coming every day. We have, you know, I mean, Honorable, in fact, Mama Kandes, National Assembly member for Jara Central, is also with Barrow. He has come to Barrow. I'm sure we are waiting for Mama Kande too to expel the National Assembly member for Jara Central. That guy is also with Barrow. We also have the 2 councillors that he has just expelled because they are working to strengthen President Adama Barrow's party. So you have all these happening for our leader. And of course, you know, when he went around the tour, and I'm sure if you observe, it's COVID-19 that is going on. There are a lot of activities, people cross-carpeting and coming, and every day, you know, Bakau is now ours. You know, I'm sure, I mean, Kemo Sise of UDP, an amazing guy I knew, is now crying because something very serious is happening in Bakau. So we have a lot, you know, is happening for Barrow and in support of Barrow, and it's just amazing. And this bill that was sent to the Parliament is a testimony. Well, Barrow would support this bill. Barrow would love everybody to be independent, just like he did with the National Assembly members and the general citizenry when it comes to upper age limit, Section 62 of the Constitution. You know how much support Alhaji Jawara's bill got at the Parliament. As it stands, when they go to votes, they win. UDP can brag about their numbers and all of that, biggest majority. But in Parliament, as it stands today, the support for that bill is more than the opposition to that bill. So this is a very big win for President Adama Barrow because he has an MP that brought up, a bill to the Parliament, an amazing bill to the Parliament, and it has overwhelming support. So these are all little signs, Uncle, for my president. People will speak. And I know there is democracy, and of course, people that do not even know the direction of wind would talk about what would happen, what is about to happen, what President Barrow will face in 2021. We all are Gambians. We all have relatives in Gambia. We all talk to people in Gambia, and Gambians listen to everybody. Nobody controls Gambians when it comes to who to listen to. We will all go into that country or into the communities or on platforms and speak to Gambians, and they will listen and they would see, what benefits them and what does not, and they will make a decision on that. So I feel President Adama Barrow is doing very, very well, my uncle.
So what do you have to say about just last week or so? You have this group of people that came from Lower Nyomi, I think, and they came to GDC saying that they are converting to GDC, defecting from the president's party there, President Barrow's NPP, and joining GDC. What do you have to say about that?
So first and foremost, that particular place in Nyomi is a very strong GDC constituency. You have a lot of GDC support there. And when Barrow started his party, of course, he had almost 90% of those leaving for NPP. Now, if you have This happens everywhere. I mean, you have movements in politics. That's normal. But then, if I receive 1,000 people and 50 or 70 return back, I mean, I would expect that. I mean, even with UDP, we have, almost half of UDP left for Barrow. But then, UDP will come after people. I mean, please come back. Want Mama Kande to go to Nyomi and there's 0 votes for him. That's not democracy. We have to have divergence of opinions and views and likeness and dislikenesses in life.
My nephew, before we go, your love for President Barrow is unshakable, but what much I have gathered is that you were very mad when he fired Muhammadu Manjang from Social Security. Is this true?
Well, these are things that I do not comment on publicly. Manjang and Barrow are both very, very important to me. I love them both, and each party knew that. Manjang knows I love Barrow very much. Well, I'm not related to Barrow. Barrow knows I love Manjang very well. I love both because of their sense of love for the country. And as far as I am concerned, it's a matter that is, at family level. So I would rather not comment on that. Until today, I am working, I'm talking to Manjang, and, I talk to President Barrow. I can assure you that we've spoken at length, in fact, extensively, person to person, about, Manjang's case. And alhamdulillah, I mean, what we all know is both are great people, and as far as I'm concerned, the work continues. What I want to see is to have Barrow and Manjang work together for the well-being of our country. It's not easy to be a leader, uncle, and it's also not easy to be a human being in general. So, I mean, I love both. I would rather not say that. But to say I am mad at Barrow, well, I mean, when something happens, when a family member does something that you may not like, you have a discussion with the family member and reason with each other. So I have discussed with His Excellency, the President. Alhamdulillah, I mean, all that I am interested in is to see Gambia move forward, and that means, or that includes, if possible, having Manjang and Barrow work together for the well-being of our great country. So that's how much I can discuss when it comes to that matter. But then, before you cut me, because you love that, you love cutting people.
Because you are my nephew, so I can cut you anywhere that I want to cut you.
That's why when you write things about Barrow that are very controversial, people come to me and say, look at what your uncle, people know you are my uncle. Yes. So I tell them, unfortunately, it's my uncle. No, if I slap him, he will deny me his daughter, and I'll become,
exactly.
But that's it, Uncle Lamin Jai. I am proud of Gambians, but sometimes, as we've said, we've been living in an environment that was very tough to express one's opinion, and it's like a bird that is caged. When you leave them after 2 years, 3, 10 years, they want to travel the whole world in one flight, but then they realize during the course of flight that that's not possible, and they will descend on a tree and relax. Gambians are right now at that stage. They're flying. They want to go around the whole world because they've been caged for a long time. But then when they move with that speed, they will at some point descend on a tree and relax and realize realities. But then, democracy is democracy, and we have to see it that way. Alhaji Jawara will be really remembered in history as one of our best MPs for bringing a private bill. And what I want to tell people, because I've heard one of the National Assembly members of UDP for the NM Drame talking about why Alaji did not bring bills to remove bad laws that talked about Combos land being a state land. What is stopping, for the NM Drame from, bringing a bill to National Assembly to protect Kombongas and their land? What is stopping Lamin Jesane, who is a Kombonga? What is stopping KKB of Gunjur, the majority member of the National Assembly who is from Gunjur, KKB Barrow, from bringing a private bill that is going to protect Kombongas and their land? UDP with the majority. The local government minister, Lamin Diba, was in UDP. Why didn't they bring bills to the parliament when they had overwhelming majority at the time before they expelled 8 of their members? They did not bring any bill. All these bad laws were there. They never talked about them. Why are they talking today? Alaji at least sees one bad law. If each of us bring one single bad law to change, we do not need to change 1997 constitution, because we are going to have an excellent constitution, and all the laws would be, bad laws would be changed to excellent laws. Uncle.
Nephew Ahmed Jite, thank you for joining me.
You're welcome. Thank
Ahmed
you so
Jite
much.
there speaking to me from faraway Canada. That's that for today's show. Join us if you can on Monday. Until then, goodbye.